Welcome back to the channel, and unfortunately this video starts with a little bit of an unfortunate admission on my part. You see, as you know, if you watch the channel, you know that I like doing lots of stuff with bird photography and birding. It's become a large part of my channel over the past couple of years. And here's where the rub is, where I think some people might actually be a little bit disappointed in me. So I'm just gonna come out and say it right away. I do not own a single bird feeder for my house. I don't. I never have. That's about to change because I was reached out to recently by a company who said, hey, we really like your YouTube channel. We make this new smart bird feeder. How about if we send it to you, you could do a review. I said, hey, maybe the stars have finally aligned and finally I will have my own bird feeder. And I thought not only could we do a review video, but we could also go through the process of trying to set up your very first ever bird feeder at your house. So that's the journey I'm on. Let's get into it. I think the first thing we need to do is take a look at the actual feeder because I just got it. And this is my new feeder in question. The company is Solareye. This is their new B6 model. And my disclaimer here is that while the feeder was provided to me for free, they are not paying for the review. So I promise you will get my honest opinions at the end. Okay, I am back from the bird supply store. I'm all stocked up. I was hoping to record some clips in the store, but the people that were working there weren't the owners and they weren't sure if it was cool to record in there or not, so I did not record anything. But I am back home now and I think I am all loaded up, including this patio blend. This is their own sort of homebrew seed, which will be going in the feeders. I also got a way now to hang feeder. We're doing a big, tall pole system that I'm going to put out in the backyard. And I like this because I can put this up far enough away from the trees that I won't have to worry about squirrels jumping down from the top. Which brings me to the next point. Squirrels also will now be able to come up from the bottom because I got this squirrel baffle to put on my pole. And then lastly, this will go into the ground, and then the pole goes in the top here. So we will be nice and sturdy in the ground deep, so our pole will not blow over in the wind. So I think we're all set up on supplies. I mean, there's nothing left to do now but to actually go out in the backyard and do the manual labor now, which is, you know, my favorite part. All right, well, I figured we would do a little unboxing here of the actual feeder. So it's got good boxing. It's actually a little bit smaller than I thought. It comes in a nice, good size here. So this is the Solareye B6 Smart Bird Feeder Cam. One thing on here that does concern me is it says it's 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. I don't know if my Wi-Fi... I think my Wi-Fi is above that, so I don't know if that means we're going to have some hard time connecting, but on the side here, again, shows all of the sort of features. Does 2K video, not 4K, 2K, it's still pretty good. 135 degree lens on it, so it's a pretty wide angle lens. If Wi-Fi does not work, it does take an SD card, so we'll be able to get all of our footage from an SD card that we'll put in there. On the back here, this is where you scan to go to the App Store for the, that's where all of the AI tracks the videos and tells you what species you have. And then over here, again, if you need help, here is their support line. Hopefully we won't. So let's open this thing up and see what we got. Again, yeah, really nicely packed, good, you know, foam here to protect it. And yeah, that's just kind of one big thing here. Has all of our parts, and camera, I believe, is in there. Oh, nope, camera's in here. So this is the feeder itself. Yeah, it's all plastic. It seems like it's like sturdy though and well made. I know some of the other smart feeders will have metal, will be like metal construction, a little bit heavier. But again, this seems pretty good. So let me get the camera out here. Aha. So that's how we open. And here is, oh, more stuff in here. Here's our different mounts, which we will use to put onto our pole. There is a little rubber PC pull back here. And that is where you can charge the camera. It is USB-C, so that is good to see. I know some of these will still have like the old micro USB, which is, I think we've all moved on past that. So this is USB-C for charging of the camera, which again, just sits right in there. Cool. Our solar panel, and our perch. Yeah. All the goodies are in here. So. Okay, so yeah, this is the antenna, which goes onto the back here for Wi-Fi. Okay, and we've got our perch here. Pretty easy to see where that goes. The perch itself is also plastic. As I've seen some of these smart bird feeders, they come with like a metal perch. Some of the more kind of like higher end ones. Then yeah, we've got our solar panel. So you mount this. I'm hoping I can also find a way to mount this to the pole. So that way it should keep the camera charged all throughout the day without having to take it down and have to manually charge it with USB-C. Which, speaking of, there is charging cable here. It's very nice. We've got a Allen wrench and some bolts. I'm sure this is for the mount. And yeah, some other mounting hardware too included. Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff here. Good. So that is pretty much everything that is in the box. But yeah, I think this will go on the pole. And then, yeah, the feeder can mount like here. Yeah, I am excited to get this thing actually mounted and get it out there in the yard, and we'll see if we can attract in some of our first ever birds. All right, well, it is the next morning, and I am now ready to add the camera to the app before we actually go put it out in the backyard on the pole. So I had mentioned yesterday when I opened the box that I was a little worried about the 2.4 gigahertz network only. And yeah, after doing some research, my router at home is 5G. So that was not gonna work. So I thought, oh man, what am I? I'm not gonna be able to even connect this. It is odd that it's 2.4 gigahertz only, as most modern modems here are now 5G modems. But I did find a solution. There is a setting in my router that you can actually split the network, so you can have a 2.4 gigahertz network and a 5G network. So that is what I've done. If you are running into this problem, look at your router documentation and see if you can do that with your router as well. It actually was pretty easy to do once I knew how to do it. So Google that if you have to. But anyways, now I have installed their app on my phone, so I am ready to pair the camera, which is now fully charged, to the app to see if we can get this working. So here is a screen recording of the setup. Yeah, okay, so here we are. This is the app that I have already signed, like made an account for. That's the first thing you do when you sign in, and then you'll come to the screen where it says add a device now. So let's do that. And this is going to be a battery device. So I'm going to click on that. And, oh, okay, so please long press the power button. So the power button on this camera is at the top, there is a white sort of plastic that you can pry off. The power button is there. So I'm going to long press for 3 seconds. Okay. Okay, cool. I heard the sound. Perfect. Next step. choose my device. That is the B6. That is this guy. And select Wi-Fi to connect. So this is where I'm hoping my 2.4 gigahertz network is going to show up. So you can see, there it is, Wi-Fi of excellent, 24G. So that is it. I will put this in. Please confirm. Yes. Okay, so now it is connecting to my Wi-Fi, and we'll see how long this takes. Hopefully, it should be pretty quick. And again, yeah, I had to specially fork. Oh, connection succeeded. Excellent. Okay, now we can name it. We're gonna call this. Feeder, and the location is going to be my backyard. Okay, done. Device added successfully. Let's start. Please place the device where you need to install it and check the strength of the Wi-Fi signal. Okay, cool. So I think that is all we need to do here on the app setup. I'm going to go actually now get this thing loaded up with seeds and then go get it out on the pole. And then, yeah, I think we'll be all good to go here. So yeah, that was actually a pretty easy setup. So. Okay, I am going up the ladder here with my seed to fill the feeder up before we finally turn everything on. Hopefully I don't fall. But yeah, you can see the pole setup here. It might be a little crooked, but I'm okay with it. There we go. Pop the top off. Now let's fill this guy up. There's only one sort of type of seed that you can put in here. I've seen other feeders that'll have like two different kinds of or they've got two different sections, so you could fill one side with a certain type of seed and then the other with a different type. So that's filled up pretty good. Now we fill up the tray here. And yeah. So this seed is mostly sunflower, but it's mixed with some other things too, which I can't remember what she said. Peanuts are in here, but she says mostly sunflower seed, some peanuts, and then there's something else, which I'll have to maybe try to look up and find out about. But and you'll see next to the feeder is also a little bird bath, a cheap bird bath that I bought on Amazon. I'm going to add some water to. Maybe that will entice, maybe a little bit more. Good evening. It has now been about 10 days since the feeder has been up in my backyard, and there's been some surprise captures. There's been my first birds. There has been some lessons learned. There's been some compromises made, but I thought we would go over all of the captures that the camera has got on the feeder over, about the past week and a half. Oddly enough, after that setup that you saw me up on my ladder, about 2 hours later, I got a notification on my phone that the camera had captured some video. And I was like, wow, I got birds already. That is incredible. So I looked at the app to see the video clip, and it was a squirrel. All of my squirrel countermeasures were for naught. They were actually able to get up on the feeder very easily from where I set it up. That was not really well thought out on my part. So I took the whole thing down and put it at a different spot in my yard where I thought, okay, the squirrels definitely cannot get to it from here. But then, you'll see the next notification is squirrels still on the feeder, even in the new spot. they were making like this 15-foot leap of death off the top of my garage, off the roof of my garage down onto the feeder. So they are able to get to the feeder no matter where I set it up. So like I said, there was a compromise made. So I kind of just had to accept that the squirrels were going to be able to get to the feeder. I was just hoping that it wasn't going to deter birds from eventually showing up. But that took a while because day after day after day, I kept getting notifications on the app that the camera was capturing things, and every single time it was the squirrel again. I was getting no birds. I was like, man, I think the squirrel is actually deterring the birds from finding this feeder. I was getting like pretty worried, and I was like, ugh. But then on day number 8, I was at work in the office, and I got a notification on my phone, and I looked at it just really quickly, and I was like, wait, that doesn't look like a squirrel. So I pulled up the video, and there it was, my first bird for about 8 seconds. And in the middle of my office, I was like, yes! And everyone was like looking over at me, and I'm like, oh, sorry, don't mind me. And the girl who sits next to me, she was like, what, did you finally get your first bird? And I was like, yes, I did. And then the next morning, bird number 2 showed up, which was this blue jay. It's great yard birds, right? You know, black-capped chickadees, blue jays. I just need some sparrows, some house finches, and yeah, we'll be all good to go. But yeah, the blue jay showed up, and I really wanted to try the AI identification of the birds, because that is something that obviously I want to put in this review for the feeder. The AI species identification feature is not free. That is something that you have to pay a monthly subscription for. So I'm a little bummed that that is behind a paywall, but they do offer a free month trial. So I signed up for that, just again, because I want to test the AI to see how good it is. So the next day I got more birds visiting the feeder. My blue jay friend was back, and as you can see here, the AI said, hey, you likely have a blue jay. And it was 100% correct. So it identified that bird correctly, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty impressed. Then later in the afternoon, the black-capped chickadee came back, and you can see here, though, the video, it shows the little bird icon, which means, okay, a bird was detected. But when I click on the info about that bird, it does not bring anything up. So it was unable to identify the black-capped chickadee, and I think that might be because the bird was only there for like 5 or 6 seconds, so maybe the bird needs to be in camera, like long, like it can't be really quick. Or I was also thinking that maybe if the bird kind of was looking away from the camera and the camera didn't get a good view of the bird, well, of course, then it can't make the identification. So that's kind of what I chalked this one up to. But then my blue jay friend came back again, and again, the video picked up that there was a bird and did make an identification. But when I click on it, it showed it this time as a cedar waxwing with a secondary, could have been a Steller's jay, is what it was. That was what its analysis said. So obviously that was a miss. So I'm not surprised by this. I've seen a lot of other smart bird feeder reviews, and a lot of times people say the AI identification is always sort of hit or miss. You always have to take what it says with sort of a grain of salt. So in this case, it got one right. It just couldn't even identify a second. And then the third one, it just got wrong. All right, so what's my overall review of the Solareye B6 Smart Bird Feeder? First review I've ever done for the channel for something like this, so I thought we would just go over here at the end, just what the pros are, some of the downsides, and if I would recommend getting one or not. So, pro, first off, very good packaging. Everything came well put together. All the parts were there. Everything was very secure. It was really good packaging. The user manual, I know on some of these kind of things can be hit or miss and maybe not well written. This user manual was very good, very easy to understand. Yeah, it was really good. Even though the bird feeder itself is all plastic, I was a little bit worried about maybe some durability issues, or would this handle, cold weather? Well, now that we're getting in close to winter, I can say it's done very well. I have no concerns about durability. In fact, it sat out there in my backyard in about 8 inches of snow. We got a big snowstorm that came through, and I was like, oh, should I bring it in? And I was like, no, I'm going to leave it out there. This will be a good test. And it did perfectly fine. In fact, the squirrels were able to still dig through the snow to get to the seeds. So the durability, even though it's plastic, it's good. And it's definitely weatherproof. I've put that to the test. Another pro, I thought pairing the camera to the Vico Home app, which is the app that you install here for this camera, very easy. If you've installed any other sort of, like maybe like a home security camera where you pair it up to an app, it worked exactly like that. The app itself is perfectly good. It's right in line with all those other home security apps, and the camera plugged in, or I was able to pair it right away and get it on the app. It was very easy. And again, the user guide, very good, walking you through all that stuff. I also like that the feeder itself is actually, it's pretty small. So I think it would be a good feeder for someone who has like a small backyard like I do. My backyard's not very big. Or even somebody who maybe is trying to put a feeder up on like an apartment balcony. This would be perfect for that kind of thing, because again, it's very small size, and has all sorts of mounting options too. So I think you would be good to go there. Last thing I wanted to mention is, even though I didn't set it up, I do like that it gives you the solar panel add-on. I just haven't set it up because I couldn't find a good spot to mount it, like on the pole. I'm sure if I, could go find another spot to mount it, but I didn't yet. But with that solar panel, it really makes charging, or wondering if the camera battery is going to die, it makes that just a complete non-issue. Because even with no solar panel on the camera, it's been almost 2 weeks now, and it's still over, like it's almost 90% still on battery. And there's a setting in the app. One thing that I do to save battery is I set the camera to sleep during the night, because it's not going to capture anything. So that's another good thing. So overall, those are my pros for this camera. Now let's get into the maybe not so good. And when I say cons, I don't want it to be that I don't recommend this, because I think you'll see at the end, I've got a pretty good recommendation here. But the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi only is a major bummer. That's just 2.4 gigahertz is not really in line with what most people have at home. Like I said, I only made it work because I was able to go into my router and manually fork out the network to be 2.4 gigahertz. I would assume most people probably don't know how to do that. In fact, I didn't know how to do it. I had to look it up. Most routers nowadays are 5 gigahertz. So if that is something that I would say, you have to check your router before you buy one of these, because if you're not able to get 2.4 gigahertz, then you're not going to be able to connect the camera, and that's the whole point. So that is a pretty big drawback, I would say. My other downside, and kind of a bummer, is to get the Bird ID and to save videos longer than just 48 hours. You do have to use the subscription, which I would say at this point is not worth it. The Bird ID, speaking of which, where it tried to identify the birds that were landing on the feeder, is not very good. I would say it's been a couple days since I even recorded that last segment where I was going over all my clips. So I've got a ton more clips now, and I would say the success rate is about 30 to 40%, right? So I just can't recommend paying for that $5 a month. What it does do, that subscription, it's not just the Bird ID. It also will then store your videos for up to 30 days, whereas if you are on the free plan, it only stores videos for 48 hours. So if you are on the free plan and you get a good video, make sure you download it within that 48 hours, or else it will be gone. And last thing I'll say on the app is that, it's super easy to use, and it's just like any other home security video app. I will say, though, I have seen some other smart bird feeders that have more sort of like birder centric apps. Like there's one feeder I saw where when it captures a species and it identifies it, it will like save it to your collection, and you like can see all of the birds that have been to your feeder as part of your like collection. And it's really more about sort of as birders, what we like is keeping a checklist. And so I think there are some more bird centric apps out there for some of these feeders. But like I said, this one, the app is perfectly fine and it works easy. So overall, would I recommend this feeder? I would say yes. I think it is a perfectly fine feeder as long as you are not relying on it to give you identifications of the species that are coming to your feeder in your yard. And again, be careful on the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi. But overall, the price for this right now is on sale on Amazon. This just came out. It is on sale for $100. Normally, it is $130. So the pricing is really good for what you get. I feel like that's right in line with all the other feeders that are kind of in this similar range. So yeah, I mean, it's very easy to set up. It's very hassle-free. It's definitely a set it and forget it. So yeah, that is my overall review of the Solareye B6 bird feeder, smart bird feeder, my first review ever. I hope that you liked it, and I hope that you found this useful if you were considering one. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Thanks. Bye.